The stage lights of America's Got Talent blaze, with a dazzling brilliance that seems to swallow everything in gold and white. The massive auditorium hums with whispers, the kind that float through a crowd when something unexpected is about to happen. People shift in their seats. Cameras slide quietly along their tracks. Judges sit upright, not yet knowing the depth of the moment that is about to unfold. Then the curtains part. A thin, small figure appears at the far end of the stage, stepping with slow, careful movements. It's a 12-year-old Filipino boy, wearing a simple button-up shirt and faded jeans, clothes that look a little too big and a little too worn, the kind that tell their own story of hardship before a single word is spoken. His black hair is combed neatly, though unevenly, as if done by a loving hand at home. His expression is neutral, calm, yet vulnerable. He is holding lightly onto the arm of a slightly older girl, his sister, who guides him with steady patience. He cannot see the vastness of the AGT stage. He cannot see the judges staring. He cannot see the thousands of audience members quietly observing him, but he can feel the pressure of the lights warming his skin. He can hear the shuffling of the audience, the faint buzz of cameras, the breathing of the judges. He senses everything in vibrations, subtle sounds, and the trembling stillness of the moments between. His feet pause at the center of the X marked on the stage floor. His sister gently places his hand around the microphone stand. He touches it cautiously, tracing its cold metal surface with his fingers, memorizing its shape the way only someone without sight learns to understand the world. The crowd notices. They realize this boy is blind. A hush spreads instantly. Sofia Vergara leans forward, her expression immediately softening. Heidi exchanges a glance with her, eyes warming with empathy. Howie Mandel rests his chin on his hand, carefully studying the boy's calm but concentrated demeanor. And Simon Cowell, the hardest to impress, narrows his eyes, not out of judgment but curiosity. Something about this child's presence feels different, more fragile, more powerful, more real. The boy swallows. The microphone picks up the faint sound. Simon's eyebrows lift slightly. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Heidi asks, her tone gentle. There's a small delay, as if the boy is still orienting himself. Then he turns his head slightly toward the direction of the voices and answers with a soft yet steady voice. "My name is Miguel." The audience lets out a subtle collective breath. Miguel. A simple name, easy to remember, but one that will soon resonate deeply in the hearts of everyone present. "How old are you, Miguel?" Sofia asks. "I'm 12. His voice is shy but clear, and behind it lies a quiet resilience, the kind shaped not by privilege but by life itself. He waits, listening to the soft hum of the crowd and the subtle shifts of the judges' chairs. Simon leans closer to the microphone in front of him. "How did you get here today, Miguel?" "My sister brought me, and some people from our town helped us get a ticket." He pauses, gripping the microphone stand a little tighter. "We don't have much money." The audience reacts with soft murmurs, sorrowful, compassionate, emotional. Simon's eyes soften, a rare vulnerability flickering across his face. "And you're blind?" Howie asks gently. Miguel nods. "Yes, sir. Since I was baby." This time the silence is deeper, more weighted. The camera captures the judges' faces. Sofia's lips part in a soft gasp. Heidi lets out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. Howie nods slowly, absorbing every word. Simon's jaw clenches, an emotional reaction he tries to disguise but cannot fully hide. "Do you sing for a living?" Simon finally asks. Miguel hesitates for a moment. His fingers trace the microphone again, grounding himself. "I sing. Outside the church near our home, and on jeepneys, sometimes on the street. People give coins. I use them to help my mama buy food." A sudden impact of emotion ripples through the judges. Cameras cut to faces in the audience. Several people already holding their hands to their mouths, shocked, touched, saddened. Miguel's sister, standing at the edge of the stage, wipes her eyes discreetly. "And what will you be singing for us today?" Heidi asks softly. Miguel lifts his head slightly, his face turned toward the sound of her voice. "A song that my mama loves. She says when I sing it, she forgets we are poor. That line alone is enough to break the tension in the room." Several audience members visibly tear up. Sofia places her hand over her heart. Howie glances toward Simon, who is now watching Miguel with intense focus, almost protective, even before hearing a single note. Miguel stands perfectly still. He cannot see the judges leaning forward. He cannot see the crowd holding their breath. But he feels everything, every shift, every vibration, every whisper. "Miguel," Simon says, voice lower and gentler than usual, "take your time. Whenever you're ready, we're listening." The music cue begins softly. A slow piano intro fills the air. Miguel positions himself, lifting his chin slightly, the way a visually impaired singer does to feel vibrations and place their breath. The audience senses the moment, the tension builds, the lights dim into a golden glow, surrounding the boy in an angelic aura. His small chest rises with a deep breath. Every judge is still, every camera locks onto him, every person in the crowd leans forward in anticipation. For Miguel, the world becomes silent. Just him and the music he has memorized not by sight, but by heart. And in that fragile, glowing, breathtaking moment, he opens his mouth and prepares to sing. The first soft chords of the piano float through the arena. They drift like warm mist across the silent crowd. It's a simple melody, sweet, delicate, and nostalgic, the kind of melody that doesn't need instruments to be powerful because the story behind it already carries weight. Miguel stands completely still at the center of the AGT stage. His fingers lightly touch the microphone as if memorizing its shape all over again. His chin is raised slightly, not with confidence, but with instinct. He can't see the lights, the faces, the shadows, the cameras, but he feels the energy, the vibrations of the piano, the stillness of thousands of breathing bodies, the quiet, focused attention of 4 judges sitting before him. Then he begins to sing. A single note escapes him, soft, trembling, uncertain. Then the next comes, stronger. Within seconds, the shaky beginning transforms into something extraordinary. His voice blooms into the auditorium like a flower opening in fast motion. It is pure, angelic, deep, emotional. A voice shaped not in music studios or voice lessons, but on the streets of Manila, beneath the heat of the sun and the noise of traffic. A voice shaped by struggle and longing and survival. The very first phrase draws a collective gasp from the audience. The camera cuts to the judges. Heidi's eyes widen, her lips part in disbelief. Sophia brings her hand to her chest, visibly struck. Howie leans back, stunned by the power coming from such a small boy. Simon Cowell sits perfectly still, eyes glued to Miguel as though afraid to blink. Miguel's voice rises gently with the melody, painting emotion into every note. He doesn't just sing, he feels every word. His face reflects memories, hope, longing. He sings as though the song is the only way he can speak to the world, the only way he can share the story hidden behind his blindness. The high-definition cameras zoom in on his expression, eyebrows lifting subtly as he reaches a high note, his mouth forming each word with precision and purity. His voice quivers, not from fear but from emotion so raw that even the audience can feel it. And then, suddenly, the arena becomes completely silent. It's the kind of silence that only appears in rare moments, when something profound is happening and no one wants to interrupt it. Miguel continues. His voice climbs higher, pressing into vocal territory usually reserved for seasoned singers twice his age. The sound is breathtaking, soulful, painfully beautiful. The audience begins to rise slowly, many of them with tears streaming down their faces. Several people cover their mouths, overwhelmed by what they're hearing. The camera shifts to the judges again. Simon Cowell. He blinks rapidly, as if unable to reconcile the voice before him with the small, blind boy who walked onto the stage moments ago. Simon's eyes soften, his mouth slightly open. His usual sternness melts into awe. This is one of those rare performances, the kind that shatters invisibility and transforms it into brilliance. Sofia Vergara. Her eyes shine with tears. She nods along with the music, her expression filled with compassion and disbelief. Heidi Klum. She leans in closer, hand pressed against her chest, whispering something to herself. She wipes a tear with the tip of her finger. Howie Mandel. His eyebrows have shot upward, his face glowing with admiration. He looks at Simon for a moment, as if silently saying, "This is something special, something unforgettable." Back on stage, Miguel reaches the emotional center of the song, the part where the vocals swell into powerful waves. He does not hold back. He pours everything into it, his childhood struggles, the nights singing outside churches for loose coins, the hunger, the hope, the fear. his blindness, his hardships, his dreams. Everything lives inside this moment. The stage lights dim further, creating a soft halo around him. He looks almost otherworldly, like a boy singing directly from the soul. When he reaches the highest note of the performance, a soaring, flawless, heart-wrenching note, the audience finally breaks. They erupt into applause mid-song, unable to hold back. But Miguel continues, steady, unmoved by the distraction. He cannot see their reactions, but he can hear the explosion of emotion, the rising cheers pushing through the walls of the theater. And then, a close-up shows Simon wiping the corner of his eye. A tear escapes. He tries to hide it, just for a second, but the cameras catch it clearly. He gives up trying to maintain composure. He's moved beyond words. Miguel brings the song down to its final line. His voice softens again, almost whisper-like, trembling with sincerity. He ends on a long, delicate note that feels like a prayer, fragile, emotional, and beautifully uncertain. Silence. A different silence. A deeper silence. It lasts 2 seconds, 3, 4, as if the entire world needs a moment to breathe again. Then the audience rises as one, a full, roaring, standing ovation. Sweeps through the auditorium. Thousands of people cheering. Judges on their feet. Hands clapping wildly. Voices shouting. Some crying. Some stunned. Some simply frozen with awe. The roar shakes the room. Miguel stands still, head slightly lowered. For a moment, he doesn't fully understand what's happening. He can hear the cheering, but not the faces. He can feel the vibrations of applause, but not the sight of thousands of people celebrating him. His sister, still standing at the edge of the stage, cups her hands and calls out to him, "Kuya! They're standing! Everyone is standing for you!" He smiles softly, tears forming in his closed eyes. Simon Cowell whispers something under his breath. Something only the cameras pick up. This kid, oh my God, the whole world feels the weight of the moment. And in that golden, unforgettable performance, a poor, blind Filipino boy becomes more than just a contestant. He becomes a phenomenon. The thunderous applause still shakes the AGT auditorium, echoing through the metal beams and vibrating across the stage floor. It feels endless, an ocean of sound crashing in waves. The lights shimmer like stars above Miguel, who stands still at the center of the stage, breathing hard, clutching the microphone with both hands. He cannot see the crowd standing for him. He cannot see the thousands of hands raised high. He cannot see the tears on the faces of strangers. But he can feel every vibration, every cheer, every heartbeat pounding in the room. His sister stands just off stage, hands covering her mouth, her eyes red from crying. She watches her little brother, her blind, gentle, hard-working brother, bathed in a spotlight that she never imagined he'd ever stand under. The applause slowly begins to fade as the judges prepare to speak. Simon presses his fingertips together, staring at Miguel with an expression the audience has rarely seen from him, emotional, humbled, deeply moved. Finally, Howie Mandel is the first to break the silence. Howie Mandel speaks. "Miguel," he says softly, shaking his head in disbelief, that wasn't just singing, that was pure heart, pure soul. You took us all somewhere else, somewhere beautiful." The audience cheers. Miguel bows his head politely, though his timid smile reveals how overwhelmed he is. Heidi Klum speaks. Heidi leans forward, eyes glossy with tears. "You know what touched me the most?" she says. "You didn't just sing the song, you lived it. I felt every emotion. I felt your story in every note. You are something very, very special." Again, the audience erupts. Miguel's fingers move anxiously on the microphone stand, small, trembling motions that betray a mix of excitement and disbelief. Sofia Vergara speaks. Sofia wipes a tear from her cheek before speaking. "Miguel, mi amor." She begins gently. "What you did today is something we all felt here." She places her hand over her heart, very deep. "Your voice, it's like an angel talking to us." She gestures to the audience. "You have a gift, a true, rare, beautiful gift." Miguel's sister sobs quietly off stage, overwhelmed with pride. Now it's Simon's turn. The auditorium falls silent the moment Simon leans towards his microphone. He stares at Miguel for several long, emotional seconds. The cameras zoom in, capturing the softness in his eyes, the vulnerability, the raw admiration. When Simon finally speaks, his voice is low and cracked with emotion. "Miguel," he begins, I don't think I have the right words for what I'm feeling right now," the audience murmurs, stunned. Simon rarely gets emotional, but here he is, voice unstable, eyes glistening. "You have no idea." He continues, "How powerful your presence is, how powerful your voice is, and what's even more incredible is the heart behind it." Miguel turns slightly toward the sound of Simon's voice, listening intently. Simon continues, "You walked out here quietly, shy, nervous, unsure, and then you gave us one of the most emotional performances we have ever had on this stage." A tear slips from the corner of his eye, visible, undeniable, and the fact that you come from such difficult circumstances, that you have lived through so much hardship, and yet still sing with such hope. Simon pauses, unable to speak for a moment. The crowd is silent, hanging on every word. "You are an inspiration, Miguel, truly." Then he pushes back his chair and stands up. The judges and audience gasp, because everyone knows what that means. Simon places his hands on the table, staring directly at Miguel. "You know what?" he says, his voice firm but warm. "I'm not waiting for a vote." The audience erupts in screams. Sophia covers her mouth. Heidi grabs Howie's arm. Miguel stands frozen, confused. Simon looks at Miguel with a smile that holds gratitude, admiration, and deep respect. "For what you've been through, for what you made us feel, for the light you brought into this room today, I want to do something special for you." He reaches forward, and with one decisive motion, slams the golden buzzer. Golden explosion. Everything explodes into gold. A burst of glittering confetti blasts upward, spreading like a golden waterfall from the ceiling. The lights flash in brilliant gold. The music swells with triumphant energy. The audience screams with overwhelming joy. Miguel flinches at the sound, startled by the sudden eruption around him. Golden confetti lands on his shoulders, his hair, his hands. He raises his palms, feeling the delicate pieces landing from above. His sister runs Rom backstage onto the platform, tears pouring down her face. "Miguel, you did it! You did it!" she cries, hugging him tightly. Miguel wraps his arms around her, his body shaking with emotional shock. Is it really the golden buzzer?" he asks, almost whispering. "Yes," she sobs. "Yes, it's yours." The audience chants his name. "Miguel, Miguel, Miguel." Golden confetti continues to fall like miracle rain. Simon gets up from the judges' table and walks onto the stage, another rare sight. He approaches Miguel carefully, gently placing a guiding hand on his shoulder. Miguel turns toward him, his eyes closed but his face glowing with emotion. Simon kneels slightly to be level with him. "You deserve this," Simon says softly. "You deserve the world." Miguel's voice breaks as he responds. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Sophia wipes her eyes. Heidi cries openly. Howie claps over his head in celebration. The crowd keeps cheering, refusing to let the moment end. Golden confetti blankets the entire stage. Miguel stands there, hands reaching into the falling gold, as if touching a dream he never believed could come true. For a boy who once sang on street corners for coins, for a blind child who learned the world through sound, for a Filipino kid who thought his life would never change, this moment is everything. A miracle, a transformation, a new beginning. As the golden rain falls around him, Miguel smiles through tears, a smile that belongs to someone whose entire world has just changed forever.